Welcome to the What's Your Problem podcast. My name's Amy Ball and my guest today is Nayab from SageeAI. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for making the trip to see us today. Appreciate that. So why don't you, for people that are listening or watching, why don't you give us a bit of an idea about who you are and what you're doing at the moment with SageeAI?
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate that. So actually, after working in product and tech for 15 years and building other people's dreams in tech, I decided to take a leap of faith and build my own dream. I just felt like the timing was right. And I decided to build SageeAI. To tell you a little bit about what SageeAI is, it's a personalized beauty and wellness advisor because I think advice should be more accessible. It also helps you build confidence because everything related to lifestyle has become so expensive and so not very accessible. And we want it to be globally accessible. So it's kind of your agent at home that can help you make wise choices in life. Because there is so much information online right now, so much viral content, so many influencers trying to influence you in purchasing things that might not be right for you. You might end up having a reaction to something just because it was working for someone else. I wouldn't say it's the product's fault. I would say it's more sort of that product wouldn't work for you because it's not personalized for you. And that's the problem statement we're trying to solve for you. Before you purchase anything, check with SageeAI, be it beauty, be it skincare, hair care, makeup, nutrition, even styling, if it is the right product for you. And you can have an open and honest conversation. With skin, yes, we have also built scan analysis as well, where you can match your shade. You can even get your skin report how you would get with a dermatologist as well. Just trying to make life more easier for people, because as we go day by day with AI taking over, you have to be on the bandwagon and embrace it. And we're saying, look, using this science-backed data, we're trying to help you make wise life choices.
So let's imagine perhaps in the past I might have gone to a beauty counter, say in John Lewis or Boots or Debenhams or wherever. So it's taking the replacement of that kind of beauty consultant to support, I guess, really the purchase of goods for, as you said, wellness and beauty, right?
Yes, 100%. So instead of speaking to a beauty advisor who might have not had the training yet because they've just joined, and I have been a beauty advisor back in the past uni days, I worked in clinic. So I know what that is like. Not everyone knows everything. So what we've done is we've taken a beauty advisor knowledge, implemented in our AI agent that will actually, either you can have a conversation if you know your skin type, you know your skin concern, or just take the camera, scan your face, and it will tell you, these are your skin concern, this is your skin type, and these are the products that would work for you. So ultimately, you know you're in safe hands. You know what they're talking about there because they've done the due diligence looking at your skin. Also, like, let's talk about foundation matching, right? I'm not saying the beauty advisors don't know, but 9 times out of 10, a beauty advisor would match you to a foundation to their liking, right? Equally, the lights in the stores are so bright that you often end up getting the wrong shade. People end up being ashy or end up being too orange. So this will tell you, okay, this is the right foundation product for your skin type, for what you're looking for. Again, you can have a conversation or you can do a scan and it will tell you that, okay, this is the right product for you. And then, you know, that way you're like, okay, I'm not relying on someone who doesn't know what they're doing.
Yeah. And also you're not relying on somebody that perhaps is getting commission based on a particular product type, right?
Yes, actually, very rightly pointed, because I didn't think about that. I was more sort of thinking about, because one of the elements of SageeAI is I want to help in the sustainability part. Did you know there has been a report printed by Harvard's business report that 45% of cosmetic products are returned because they are not right for you?
45%. And that is a shocking amount. And especially considering that a lot of them you can't return after you open them anyway, can you? So I'm amazed that there is actually that high a return rate. But wow, that is immense.
Yeah. And then imagine carbon footprinting. Equally, if you've used the product, be it a little amount, it's already gone to waste. And that's why the waste report for cosmetics, which I actually put on my LinkedIn the other day as well, just for lipsticks alone is 60%. And imagine what it would be for the all the skincare cosmetics industry in itself, because people end up buying products and they are not using it, or they're having a reaction. There's a video that recently went viral. A girl bought a product, I'm not going to take the name of the brand, which was worth £400. And it caused her a severe reaction. Now, I don't think there was a fault in the product.
Yeah.
It just probably wasn't suitable for her. Now, it could have helped if she had done a patch test, but I tell you, sometimes patch tests are not right as well, because you're doing it on another part of your body. Your face could be a little bit more sensitive because your moisture barrier is already damaged or something. And she only used that product once. Now that £400 gone to waste.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I think the other day I was standing in front of a display of cosmetics, and I was thinking, I'm in my early 40s. I don't mind saying that. I'm in my early 40s. And I was thinking, a lot of people are talking about toner and serums and all of those kind of things. I've had a pretty good skincare routine. My skin's pretty good generally. And so I went to look at serums specifically, and I was amazed by the variety, and it quickly overwhelmed me in terms of one brand, for example. And again, let's not name and shame them, but one brand in particular had 5 different serums. One for the morning, one for midday, one for the evening, one for night. And I was like, well, what's the 5th one for? Where do I need 5? And I'm thinking, I surely don't need all of this skincare. But I think that's where you don't necessarily want to appear naive and talking to someone, which is where I can see that this would come in support of that.
Yeah, and it wouldn't recommend you all like you need 5 serums. It would work around what your concerns are.
Yeah.
If your concern is pigmentation, it'll recommend you something for that, but it will keep your beauty very simplified. The reason behind that is it's become complicated with a lot of that influencer hype out there. That you need this, you need this, you need this. If you're meant to have a reaction, I just recently had a reaction by just going to thermals in Budapest. So you never know, right? What might cause a reaction. So I would just say, don't go for all the information that is out there. I have been personally a victim of it. I know a friend of mine has been, who ended up then spending £1,200 to fix her face, past a reaction.
Wow. £1,200. That is a lot of money.
When you include the consultation to the dermatologist, the products, and the repeat visits, it amounts to that much, right? And especially if you're someone who's very self-conscious about your skin, of course you're gonna be okay to spend that, but can everyone afford to do that? Yeah. So let's take it back then. So this is something that you've been doing more recently. You mentioned about being in beauty for a number of years, but what inspired you to do this, do you think? I think to tell you about that, I might have to take you a little bit back. Why I actually started doing something of my own when I was happily working in product and tech for 15 years, building products. I actually decided to move countries in 2022.
Okay.
decided to leave UK. And if you remember, the economy was a little bit funny at that time.
It was. There was some interesting moves in government at the time. Cost of living crisis.
Yes.
Brexit. A lot of things happening all at the same time.
Yes. And that had there was a huge, spike in inflation at that time. And I thought, you know what? I'm single. If I don't do it right now, I would never do it. And funny enough, I just had put this thought out that I probably would want to move from UK. And LinkedIn has been amazing to me. I got an opportunity through LinkedIn. And the lady who reached out to me for that opportunity, she and I are actually really good friends now. She offered me an opportunity in UAE. And I was in two minds. I was a bit skeptical because I had another opportunity that came from Portugal as well, and one from States as well. Now, States was quite similar to UK. A lot of things happening, at that time that law got passed. You can't have abortion in certain states. And that freaked me out a little bit. I was like, do women even have rights there?
Yeah. Because you do. When people think that it's quite simple, but actually this is a very complex issue, and it makes people really think twice about whether they even want to be in the country, even for a visit, let alone for living and working purposes.
Yeah, I know. I make my decisions very methodically. I look at each and every angle. Will I be safe? What will I be doing in future if I want to settle there for good? And then I thought, could I do Portugal? But I was like, Portugal is just next door, right? So how different could it be from UK? And UAE, of course, had that plus point of being tax-free. And I think a lot of the times people make that decision because of that. But my other plus point was sunshine. You know what? We're all chasing sunshine, living in our rainy Britain. I thought, you know what? I'll give my brolly a rest, and it will be, let's just jump on that plane and go and explore the world. And I won't have any regrets. I stayed there for 2 years. I worked for a startup, built their dreams. Unfortunately, that job wrapped up, and think the way it got wrapped up made me think it's high time I built something of my own. I gave completely 2 years of my life, 24/7, to that startup, built someone's dream, helped them achieve a lot. And in doing so, my job got wrapped up while I was out of country. It kind of shook me a little bit, right? And that's when I thought, you know what? It's a sign from the universe. It's high time, because the problem we as humans face is we're always waiting for the right time.
Yep.
But there is no such thing as right time.
I agree.
I used to always wanted to do something of my own, but always would say, do the numbers, do the maths. And then, I don't know this. I don't know how to raise funds with investors. I don't know this yet. I don't know that. So maybe I should go and work on this startup, learn something of this from there. But this time I was very adamant. I had few opportunities, even in UAE, that got landed in my lap, and from UK as well. And I kid you not, a lot of pressure from family and friends.
Because they want you to take the safe option, because they want you to be happy. They want you to survive and thrive. And what has been drilled into us is 9 to 5 is how you survive and thrive. You work 9 to 5 from the time you're 18, 21, depending on how your education goes. And you finish when you're 65, 75, 65, 70, whatever. Take a pension, everything's lovely. Well, actually, no, not really. That is what the world used to be, but it's not the world as I see it now. And I think we see a lot more that people have choice and are taking that choice now.
And actually Bill Gates has predicted 2030, there'll be way less jobs. There'll be a reduction in jobs by 36%. And that to be really high profile jobs. And we are already seeing how many jobs just this year alone Microsoft cut down, right? And every other company that you see, they are cutting down jobs because jobs are being replaced by AI. So I think that made me realize it's high time that I take a leap of faith and start building my own dream. And I think in that as well, I faced problems. I actually started like any other naive techie person. I started with a blockchain. I still think my blockchain idea is really solid, but because there has been, I don't know if you know, there had in 2024, there had been that NFT scam that happened.
Yeah.
In States, and that kind of backfired a little bit on my idea. But also, I realized it wasn't that easy to set up a startup in UAE. Regulations, getting something regulated is very tricky.
Okay.
And it's not cost effective. Yes, it's tax free, but it's not very cheap. Regulations is a nightmare. And let's just say the grass is not always greener on the other side. I learned it the hard way. And being female, it has its own challenges. And that's when I realized, you know what? Again, it's a sign I'm going to go back home and do it. Now, why did I move away from that blockchain idea? I still say I haven't given up on it. I've parked it. I've shelved it. One day it will come back when I think the world would be ready for it. And the reason I went for SageeAI was actually my friend calling me, bawling her eyes out that she had a terrible reaction. Now, again, the reason she called me was because she knew I worked for a clinic. So she said, other than just having a sympathetic ear, I would also be able to give her some advice. And I'm like, one, I don't know why you even use that product without doing a patch test. Okay, fine, you use it, you have a reaction now. Rather than me giving you an advice, I think best to visit a dermatologist.
Yeah.
At that time, I started reading Reddit reports. And I found horrifying stories that 49% audience online today, the consumers, are actually reacting to the products that they're purchasing online.
49%. So basically half.
Exactly. And that was shocking. And that wasn't only for just skincare. Hair care, nutrition, people are sharing stories how they're losing hair, like patches in their hair. One guy said how much it impacted his gut taking these supplements that was recommended by an influencer. Because of course, influencers get commission, right? So
I saw a woman the other day. She was doing deadlifts. Great. And she was, a video of her doing deadlifts, but she also had on a weighted vest. And funnily enough, guess what's in her Amazon storefront that's sponsored that she gets paid for? A weighted vest. Amazing. But if you're lifting enough on a deadlift, you don't need a weighted vest, and you shouldn't be, it's impacting the movement. And it's exactly that, isn't it? Is that people are selling things without necessarily really thinking about the impact of what they're selling on their consumers.
Yeah, I think I worry that today the way consumers behave shopping online has an impact not only on the mental health, of course on the wallet as well, but in general the well-being as well, because of the unexpected beauty standards that are gone out there. I want to look like that. But why? And it is actually really worrying that Gen Zs follow those trends to the T.
Absolutely. My I think I've told you this story before, but my niece, who is 11, we were on the phone the other day. We were doing a WhatsApp video call. She's in America, I'm in the UK. And she said, "Oh, why don't you come and get ready with me?" And I was like, "You what now? Are you an influencer? What's happening right now?" And she was like, "So first off, I do cleanse and then I tone." And I was like, whoa, what are you doing? You're 11. And I spoke to her mum, my sister, afterwards, and I said, you've got to be a bit careful about the amount of products, because she's so young, like she's stripping away the goodness in her face, but she's doing that because she sees her friends or other people doing that, YouTube, whatever, and she thinks that that's the right thing to do. And don't get me wrong, ladies out there, it is important to cleanse, tone and moisturize, but perhaps not when you're 11.
I totally agree with you. I think it's because they are seeing what's being sold online. Be it like, I don't know if you saw that slugging, that shaving and all that. I'm like, it might work for certain skin type. It might work for certain people. It does not work for everyone. See what works for you. And at that tender age, you don't need to do anything, just embrace it. But because people are spending more time online than they do outside, and that too because of the smartphones, everything is so accessible that it is a little bit worrying. But equally my thought process was that we know the world is very drastically shifting by AI. I wanted to leverage that AI to help rather than, miss that opportunity to make a difference. Already people are telling me, I think your product is a little bit too futuristic. I'm like, it might be, but it's the cause that matters.
And the quickness of how that society will catch up with that. I don't think that is true for your product. I don't think it is too futuristic. I think we're there. People just don't want to admit we're there yet.
Yeah. It's always when something new comes in, right? We have always had that instant block towards it. I personally believe we always are hesitant to adapt things because we're scared of change. Same happened when ChatGPT was launched, right? Because now people are comparing my product with ChatGPT and they're like, but how is it different? I was like, does ChatGPT know what your skin type is? No, it doesn't, right? So SageeAI is more personalized. Your chat GPT is more like your search engine, like Google you can go on. This is more personalized towards your needs.
Yeah.
I'm only catering for one person at a time to help you. And of course, we want to build a whole profile around you so we can help you in wellness in the long run as a whole lifestyle advisor. So we're trying to, correlate all the categories. And of course, futuristic vision is we turn it into an app, we turn it into a neural chip that you can implant into a robot. And that is just there to advise you. And you don't have to pay much for it because future is robots. We all know, right? And you don't have to go visit dermatologists, nutritionists, hairstylists, makeup artists, wellness experts for everything when you have got one thing that can help you, at least give you foundational expert science-backed advice.
Yeah. And I think that's the element of what people are missing at the moment is the science-backed advice. There are people, me and my husband had a conversation about whether fasting was good for you. So, if you don't eat between the window of 11 and 7, for example. And I said, well, I can do that, but only on the days that I don't go to the gym, because actually when I go to the gym, the advice is that you eat within 30 minutes because you need the protein to help support your muscle growth. And so we were just talking about, the fact that there's science-backed ideas on both sides, but you have to work out what's right for you as an individual, don't you?
Yeah, but also, it's so sad that all this social media, all these influencers have created so many myths now.
Yes.
Did you know that actually you're born with a fast metabolism is a myth? There's no such thing. You're born with a metabolism. And what does happen is when you gain a lot of fat, that slows down your metabolism. But people don't know that because the reason again is because someone has said, oh, but I've got really fast metabolism. That's why I burn off everything. No, because the fat in her body is less than the protein, like the muscles in her body. And that's why diet has to be around that, because some people lose weight by cutting out carbs or having less carbs, where carbs actually give you energy. Again, there is a myth around that, right? Cut down carbs and you lose weight. No, cut down processed carbs because the healthy carbs actually give you energy. Yeah. And slow burning energy, you will last longer.
And that's the thing is you're absolutely right. It's cutting out processed food and whatever type of food it is, anything that's processed. This was advice from a long time ago, was if it's got more than 5 ingredients, don't pick it up. But I think it's, you would be hard pressed to do that with a lot of your diet in the way that we are at the moment, but it will swing back round. I mean, obviously, lots of fruit and vegetables, great. But, if you really investigated where you got your bananas from and what process they went through to get to your plate or to your home, actually, I think you'd be quite surprised about the growing techniques and the fertilizers and the formulas that people have been using to actually grow those products, wouldn't you?
100%. And I think that's the research no one has got the time to do.
Absolutely.
And that's why we wanted to get a product out there. We thought it could help you in every part of your life, be it nutrition. Because 9 times out of 10, people don't cook food at home and actually get the ready meals is because I don't have the time. But have you actually checked how long it takes you to you put something together, right? Now that I'm building something of my own, I have realized I get that time and space to make something of my own. And I started realizing all I do is I ask SageeAI, okay, I want, these are the ingredients I've got in my fridge. Tell me what I can put together. And I kid you not, I've come up with some amazing recipes with that. And normally it's 5 to 10 minutes. And because I advise it, I've only got 5 to 10 minutes to make sure it's that quick, because I'm not one of those people who's got patience to cook longer meals. If I want to do a longer meals, for me, it's like a little bit of a luxury thing, you know, take the time out and enjoying the cooking process as a therapy than actually making it for like every single day. But there are people I know who love cooking. So even then, you need to really take the time to decide what you want to make. And you know, there are those boxes that come now. I haven't tried, but I know a few of my friends get them. And it has got the products.
You mean like Boost Oil, Mindful Chef or Green Chef or whatever it's called. Yeah.
I think it is pretty good. At least you're getting something which has got everything ready and you can decide it accordingly. But even if you did your own shopping, you could just go to SageeAI and you can just ask, okay, these are the ingredients. This is the time. Just tell me a dish. Yeah.
And that is where we are, you know, that's where you need to utilize AI tools, is by the ability to do things like that. They're there to assist you. They're not there to take over everything, but they're there to assist you, because actually, I don't know about you, but I find myself some weeks I'm really great at meal planning, and I've got some prep and I've bought my food and I've done the right things, but that's probably 1 week out of 4. And the other 3 weeks I'm kind of like, what have I got in the freezer? And I've got some peppers in the fridge, or I should be able to do something with this. I don't really know. Because in reality, we've got too many other things that we're thinking about, don't we?
100%. I think in general, as humans, we overthink a lot of things. But if you're building something of your own, right, and you run your own business as well, your mind is running like literally 110 miles per hour in 5 to 10 different directions, right? And then you're like, okay, meal is probably my last priority. I'm not going to sit here and plan my meal when I've got those high priority items that I need to check off a list. Not saying it's the right thing to do, just putting it out there in case people are like, no, your meal should be. Because I know for people, there are people, meal is their top priority, which is a good thing. I think it's a healthy thing. But if you're building something of your own, if you run a business, I know it can be a last priority, because you're thinking of people who are working for you, thing you're building next, or the feature that you're going to launch soon, or probably your marketing, clients you're going to meet, how you're going to organize your next strategy meeting. Even if you're raising funds, that's another joy altogether, as I'm finding now. So yeah, there is so many things to think through that I think meal kind of goes literally bottom of the list.
Yeah. Your health is your wealth is a really good statement. And I think it's very easy, unless you plan in your fitness and your food, it's very easy to let that slide really quickly. And especially, like you say, when you're a founder, when you're building a business, it is definitely easy to let those things slide unless you schedule them. So talk to us a little bit about how you do that. So how do you kind of prioritize?
So I funny enough, I read one of your LinkedIn posts, which I thought was a beautiful reference because I'd been there, which was about prioritize your health. Don't burn out. As a founder or running your own business, that is, quite possible. And I had been there. I've been through that burnout cycle, and I realized it was way more unhealthy for me and my team. And it didn't become productive. I didn't achieve results. In fact, it had a negative impact on everything altogether. I always believe, be very self-aware.
How did you realize that you were burnt out? Was it your own realization, or did someone help you
I think there is two elements to it. One, I'm really good at self-awareness part of things where I know where I need to improve. But equally, my team making me realize that you are not behaving like how you normally used to. Because I'm very open to ideas and suggestions. Because I think when you're building something, don't have an ego. You're not supposed to have an ego. In fact, I if anyone hasn't read, there is a book by Brené Brown, and it is about lead with heart. And this is about like, be very self-aware of where there are more smart people out there. If you're the smartest person in your team, then you're already not doing the right thing. So when they told me also, you're reacting a lot, you being too emotional, maybe it's time for some self-reflection.
And how did you feel when they brought that to you?
A little bit taken aback.
A little bit cross?
Actually, not crossed, defensive for sure. I'm like, no, it's not like that. And then I realized, of course, you instantly go defensive. And my tech lead, he said, look, it's not coming from a bad place. Apart from this, we're friends as well. Maybe it's time to take a break. And I actually took a break, spent some time with my parents. And I kid you not, when I came back, I realized I had more fresh ideas. I realized I had hit a breaking point. I had hit a rock bottom at that point. And that was because, when you're building, your path is not clear.
Your path is filled with obstacles, and you have to find a way to go round, over, through, however you're going to clear those obstacles. There is a way to do it, but sometimes you can't quite get through that, and you feel like you're hitting a brick wall, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. And then that's when I thought it's the uncertainty. Because in jobs, you don't have that, right? Even when I did consultancy, and I still do consultancy, I know what they're asking and I deliver accordingly. With this, because I'm building something new, and also it's not like, okay, I'm just solving a problem statement for customers out there, right? When you, let's say, building a gym gear, right? Okay, there is this sort of gym gear missing, so I'm actually solving that. What I'm trying to do is also educate people what we're building as well, right? To bringing newness. So uncertainty often leads you to a lot of fear. And out of fear, you often don't want to take breaks. And when you don't take a break, that leads to burnout. And of course, when you burn out, you're not doing anyone any favors.
Yeah.
After having that realization, then I started prioritizing. I have now set hours like evening. My max is up till 8 o'clock that I would give till to SageeAI or to work. And then I do mentally switch off.
Good.
I read a book. I watch a series or something, bearing in mind, I always love reading books. I'll give you tons and tons, right? I love reading. And in amidst all this building thing, I actually stopped because all I was doing was making notes, constantly thinking, researching and everything, and not taking that mental break to actually, prioritize my health. What I did, which I actually commented on your post as well, was I let what I'm building overtake my life.
Yes.
When it should be just part of your life.
It's very easy to lose yourself in the build, and it all be about the build. It all be about the product or service or whatever you're doing. It's very easy to do that, and it become your whole identity. But that isn't very healthy.
No, because it comes from a place of guilt. A lot of people don't realize it's coming from guilt because you feel like someone is not paying me. I'm going to earn this money by delivering this. If I don't do this, we will fail. What would my team think? People are depending on me. There's a whole guilt and shame thing going on internally.
Yeah.
Because we're kind of masters of our own failures, I believe. And that's because, and I tell you 9 times out of 10, startups fail not because you didn't get a funding, you didn't, deliver the right product. It's because founders end up being burnt out.
Yeah. And they lose track or vision about what they were trying to do, or they're building something but not checking back in and saying the original problem statement that you talked about earlier, like, is that still a problem? Like, are we still solving that, or actually have we evolved to be something else? Because you think about I don't know, brands, I'm trying to think of something specific, but Marks and Spencer's, for example, they didn't come out the gate selling furniture, did they? They were actually grocers, weren't they, when they first started? I'm sure they were grocers, weren't they? And then they've evolved into selling clothes. They've evolved into selling homewares. They've evolved into selling beauty items. But that wasn't where they started. And I think we worry as founders, if we're not still doing what we originally thought, then we failed. Well, no, you've evolved and you've listened to your customer and actually what does need solving and what consumers actually want. Because if you carry on blindly down a path without checking back in and seeing if it's still relevant, then you're not going to be successful, regardless of how hard you work.
That's a very valid point. But that comes from a growth mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Often what happens is we, as you said, we're racing down that lane blindly because we're not seeing environment around us is changing.
Mm-hmm.
Consumer behavior around us is changing. Like that's what the success of Marks and Spencer doesn't lie on because they started expanding in other categories, but because they saw how their consumer behavior was changing.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see recently they bought out that strawberry cheese sandwich?
Yes.
Right?
Which then caused a whole controversy with HMRC, didn't it? With the whole, is it a cake or is it a sandwich?
But you know why they did it? Because it's one of those things that was trending. It was a Japanese trend. They adapted it. They saw, this is going viral. This is trending. Let us do that. Then they bought out these cookie crumble thing. You open the cookie and it is stuffed with something, right? That again was going viral in another country. They saw it, they adapted it, they instantly put. So they've instantly realized, okay, if we don't evolve with times, we will be left behind. And we have got plenty of examples of that. There are businesses that have closed down because they haven't evolved with time. So when you build something, you rightly said, check if that problem statement is still relevant, but equally be open to evolve. Right? Be open to evolve and don't have ego about it, because with time, the consumer behavior changes, the demand for your product changes, and your consumer might highlight something that they want more that you're not delivering. Originally when we had thought of SageAI, I actually was only going to focus on, skin and makeup related, because that's kind of my background and I kind of knew more about it. So I was able to help the data team around that a lot more. But then it was our consumers who said, but skin is connected to gut, right? And I thought, okay, I've seen on Reddit as well, there's nutrition related issues where people are taking supplements which are not right for them. And that's when we started slowly evolving. And then the first problem statement came was when people were interacting with our agent, they said, it's answering all our questions, but I don't even know what my skin type is. And honestly, I had not thought people wouldn't know their skin type.
Yeah.
Because for me, it was given, coming from that sort of background, that, people would know. So I did put a information tab in there, but it also made us think, no, you need to make their lives easier. And that's where we brought in the face scan. So that people don't have to worry about knowing their skin type, knowing their skin concern. They're like, okay, take a picture and we'll give you the report as you would get with a dermatologist. But it's also, we were open to listening. I wasn't attached that I won't let my product be just my product. Yes, there are certain things like the values on which we've built, I wouldn't want to compromise it, or why the name was that, or why even the colors are the colors that are there, because there's a whole thought process that went into that. And that was all attached to, again, as I said, values, but equally what we wanted to achieve as a mission, that we thought, this all needs to connect. So it will be a beautiful story tomorrow when we tell someone.
Let's just touch on values there, because I think for me, not enough people understand what values are and why they're important to a business. So the way I see it is your mission is what you're trying to achieve. And then your values tell people how you want the work to be done and how you want them to behave in the environment of your workplace. So talk to me a little bit about what your values are, perhaps, and what they mean to you.
Okay, so I'll tell you something really interesting. When back in the day, I used to work like 9 to 5 for other companies. Every time the values topic came, right, I would be like, you know what? That's a given, right? That's a given. Why are they putting so much effort into values and all that, and they don't even follow themselves and all that? Now, when I started building my own startup, I realized, no, those values are actually a foundation. And they're not just the foundation to run your business, but it's also to use as a glue to bond you as a team together. And also the message you relay to your consumer. So my values is not just for the business or the startup itself. It's for the customers as well. So I'll give you the 4 values that we've got. One was ownership. We want to take ownership of building something that will help consumers, right? But equally, we want consumers to take ownership of their own well-being. Right? You're responsible for your own health, your well-being, and your lifestyle. And that's why you chose SageeAI. And the second one is, of course, trust. Me and my team are building this whole product based on trust because we're all on different locations, completely different locations, completely remote concept. I don't literally, am there breathing down their neck because I don't believe in that. And that's where the ownership part comes in, that we each have taken ownership of our areas. And we're coming in together, trusting each other that we all are doing our parts. Equally, a consumer is trusting us with their problems, right? That you trust us, that we are here to help you. And the third one is, I believe it's a very strong one, is gratitude. I'm grateful for my team. They're grateful that I came up with the vision, with the idea of building something, because they've always wanted to do together, and I gave them an opportunity to build. Because 2 team members of mine are Gen Zs, so they absolutely love it. They absolutely love that they have been given this opportunity that early on in their life, and someone is trusting them to do it. So they're very grateful for it. But equally, I'm grateful for them that rather than being like other Gen Zs, having fun, going out, they're actually willing to sacrifice their time to build something meaningful. We're in general grateful for all the people that have signed up, because 2 months in the launch, we've got 650 signups. It's an amazing story. So in general, we're grateful for what we've built, what we've achieved, and the love and support we are getting, and for each other as well. And last but not least, empathy. We've got empathy for each other because, life comes with its own challenges.
It does.
We empathize with people because we're trying to solve this problem for the people. So we've got empathy for our consumers as well, that you have got a problem that we're trying to solve. But equally, we've got empathy for each other as well. Use your emotional intelligence to understand what your team member might be going through. Work will always be second. Someone's, mental health would be more important for us. Every place I've worked, that's one element that has been stated as my weakness, that you've got too much empathy. You've got too much empathy. And I thought, the day I'll build something, that will be one value we would run. And funny enough, I'll tell you, when we were discussing our values, that's one I didn't mention. It actually came from my team member. He said, that's your superpower, and that's our team's superpower, and that's our product superpower, that we're empathizing with the problems people are going through, and that's why we're building it. So our values are not only just how we're running our business, but it's also how we're serving our customer.
Yeah. And I love that, because you've tied that together to help support your mission. And that, for me, is how you create a strong team. Because if you recruit people and onboard them based on those values, if you then trust is such a big thing, isn't it? And with the kind of thing that you're doing, because it's not really a typical 9 to 5 kind of situation, you haven't got the office space, so you have to, because that's what I think a lot of it is offices are like, or companies, have got office space. So they're like, yeah, you all need to be in the office 9 to 5. And it's like, the world doesn't work like that. actually, because people have other responsibilities and want to do other things at different times. So allow them to do it as long as they are delivering against what we've agreed. And if you have a strong set of values that you support them with and allow them to develop, and, you know, run that through one-to-ones and however you're interacting, then you've got a fantastically strong team that will deliver.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's not about what is being done in what sort of time. So that I think that clocking in, clocking out should go out completely. Being in office space is an expense altogether. Give people that flexibility. This milestone needs to be achieved at this time. How you do it, I don't care. As long as it's delivered. And we haven't missed one single milestone yet. And that's only because we are not breathing down each other's necks. Okay, when is that being done? We're being supportive of each other. If anyone even gets, you know, stuck in something, we're like, okay, let's help this person out. How did you get stuck? What can we do? Because there are so many things we're learning as well as we're building. Honest to God, things are not what they used to be. There was a time SEO was a big thing, right? It no longer is. It's the GLLM, it's AEO, the answer engine optimization. And do you know now you can even use Perplexity? It's an AI tool to actually boost your conversion even more because it is related to AEO. So the whole platform out there, the world, the landscape has changed, and it's changing day in, day out. Like Instagram has instantly opened their keyword search. So how you put your name out there is actually how people are going to find you. So now you're accessible through Google. TikTok has cut down hashtags. So now you can't just rely on hashtag tags. It's again, what you're putting down as words that could be searched is more important than those hashtags. And I remember people getting viral because of those hashtags. So you really need to be, I think building something is constant learning. And that's what I'm enjoying the most in the journey, that learning.
And I think that's the thing as a founder, you know, whatever you do, you have to be a marketeer as well. Regardless of whether it's a product or a service, you have to understand how social media works, because ultimately that is where you are going to get people to come to your shop to have your ice cream, to log on and be a consumer of SageeAI. It's that is where people will find things. But then how are we servicing, how are we servicing that older community of people that perhaps have phones that are outdated and can't download apps that allow them to have QR codes, for example? They've got a mobile phone, but it's too old to do those kind of things. I mean, what's your thought on that in terms of, you know, that kind of older generation, if you like?
I mean, look, I believe if you are adapting to all this social media, one, you should, because as you rightly said, right, we no longer live in the world where you can say, oh, I don't like social media, I'm not on there and it doesn't work for me. I'm sorry, that's not the right answer, because be it, yes, there is that 20% that still is not embracing social media, have got very basic keypad phones and stuff. But then there is 85% who is on social media, out of which you'll find a lot of millennials on Facebook and probably Instagram, all the Gen Zs on TikTok. And of course, there is a whole audience of millennials that is on LinkedIn as well, right? And I know LinkedIn has been one of my most interesting lead converter, which I was absolutely surprised about, especially in the B2C space. Equally, going back to your question, that 20%. Look, I believe when you're building a product, you have to identify your consumer. I know my consumer might not be that 20% audience, which are old school, which are hesitant to adapt to AI or smartphones. Instead of focusing on that 20%, I'll probably focus on that 15% who's open to change and who wants that help, because they'll become my loyal advocates to maybe even convert those 20% who don't know, right? And the idea is these 20% that we're missing out on right now, we'll target them when the neural chips come in, right? Because yes, they can't have those smartphones, but they wouldn't mind having a robot at their home, right? That does everything for them, that can have a conversation. And that's why there was that vision, because we thought at every stage we are targeting someone. So I launched with mobile web, and I got quite a lot of feedback from the tech industry, because I'm part of Women in Tech and in just general tech groups. And a lot of people said to me, but why, app is the right way to go forward when you start something as a business. And I'm like, but my strategy is slightly different, right? The reason I went with mobile web is because 65% of your online traffic always goes to mobile web. No one is going to download your app till you've built your trust, right?
Yeah.
So I have to build trust with people to actually be able to get them to download an app, because that's taking storage space in their phone.
And I kind of resent it, actually, like having to download yet another app. Why can't you just mobile optimize your website, and then actually we'll all have a great experience?
Yeah. And even now people are saying, but when are you launching your app? When are you launching your app? I was like, when I think the time is right. When I want them to just open their app just like they would open their camera to check if the product I'm purchasing is the right one for me to purchase, be it food, be it beauty, be it any category, right? But right now, I'm still building trust with people. I want them to use the product, get it to be, the day it becomes like it's a necessary need, that's when I'll launch my app. And that will be my second milestone. I've earned that much audience that has turned into advocates for my product. Then it will be an app, because they will be the ones, oh, have you got that app? Have you got that app? Rather than us pushing them to install that app. Because installing an app is also a mission to get people to do that.
Yeah.
And then, of course, then you go down the route of neural chips, targeting those old school people, because it's not like we're against them. We're just like, I don't want to force them to change their behavior or what they're not used to it, because there's a certain age after which you're not really into learning something new. Yeah. I know my parents aren't. So I'm like, okay, you know what? I would like to cater something for that audience, but perhaps at a later stage. Yeah. But then you've, solved all the other problems on the way.
Oh, yeah. We'd have solved the world problems by then, right? So if you were to give a new or existing entrepreneur advice based on what you've seen so far, what would be your top piece? Now, I know you've probably got a lot, so, but just think about kind of what your number one piece of advice would be to somebody thinking about starting a business or has already started.
I think, look, someone starting, I would say growth starts outside of your comfort zone. So think outside of your comfort zone, come outside of the box, do something different. And equally, resilience is undermined today. But it's okay to go through challenges, because it is building that resilience, which will help you build more stronger product. Chase no's, and that will get you your yeses. Don't get disheartened with a no. And that is for existing founders as well, because, we're part of community, and I see there is a lot of no, and equally for myself as well. When you're fundraising, you'll realize you'll get your no as well, right? And it's okay to get a no.
Yeah.
Because that when you'll get that yes, you'll value it more, and it will humble you as well. And I also believe climb the ladder one step at a time. And when you reach at the top, it'll be way more worth it. Patience is not just a virtue. It is also a superpower that makes the fruit taste a lot more sweeter when you pluck it from the tree that you planted at the start. But I think someone Dan Boa gave me this advice when I attended one of his sessions, and he's a VC, and he said, most importantly, just enjoy the journey. It's a game, just play it like a game and enjoy the process. And I think that really stayed with me. It really resonated with me. And now I say to everyone, you might not have all the answers. You'll figure it out. I used to think, oh, you know what? Can I really do it? I used to question myself a lot. And probably till date I do. And of course, you'll have times where your imposter syndrome will kick in.
Of course.
And I always say, imposter syndrome is not a bad thing. I'm a biggest advocate for imposter syndrome because I think that pushes you to excellence. Because then you really, shine as an individual, trying to prove I'm not an imposter. I know what I'm doing. And it's okay to have a failure as well, because your failures will tell a better story than your success would.
And I think that's as long as you learn from them, because I always think that one of the most humbling questions, and this was taught to me by somebody, is that when you're speaking with somebody and perhaps you're looking to work with them in the future, whether as an employee or partner or whatever, is what would you have done? You ask them about what they've done in the past, and what would you have done differently? And if people say that there's two ways of thinking about this. So one school of thought is, well, without my mistakes, I wouldn't be where I am now. So that is definitely a school of thought. I think the other one is actually when we look at stuff and we think, yeah, that could have been improved, because actually, yeah, in hindsight, I would now have done, for example, with the podcast, I would do things differently. I would think about how I planned it and where things were, and, lots of different things I would change. But that's with the benefit of hindsight. And I think that's what's important, is that allows you to see that someone's got that humility and understands that they're not perfect. But actually, it doesn't mean that they didn't try their hardest with all the information they had at that time, doing whatever it was that they were doing. It just means that actually, when I've reflected on it, I could think, if I did that again, would I approach it in exactly the same way, or would I go in a slightly different direction?
See, I'll tell you one thing I learned the hard way in my life: never have regrets. Never, ever have regrets. So I do not have regrets, but in hindsight, one thing I wish I had done when I started this journey as well was, which I did when I started a new job always, was believe in myself. Because I shifted from working for someone else to building something of my own, somewhere I didn't believe in myself. People around me believed in me a lot. And I'm so, so grateful for that there were people who uplifted me. Because it was in general a hard time, moving back from UAE to UK, and something that I tried there didn't work out. So that was my first set of failure. And then your faith in yourself is already shaken.
Yeah.
So I wish I'd believed in myself a little bit more. I wish I was less harder on myself and my team a little bit. It's just because I'm a very, very driven individual, very ambitious. And sometimes I think it makes me a little bit too hard on myself and people around me. And I realize that fact about me. And I know I need to improve on that a little bit. That, it's okay for some time to, and now I mentally make a note on things that I need to improve on. I did not, and I also wish I had taken no's a bit better. I remember my biggest heartbreak was when one of the grants that I had applied, it got made ineligible because of their mistake, not even mine. And then they said, oh, shoot, now it's closed. And we can't let you edit it and do something about it. And I really took it hard. I really, really took it hard. But now come to think of it, I feel like, that wasn't a rejection. That was a redirection. It wouldn't have worked out for me. It wasn't for the best. Now, if a no comes, I'm like, thank you, universe. That was the right thing for me. But in hindsight, I felt like, of course, it affected my mental health. It affected my team morale. In general, it affected my life. I'm a very positive individual, and I do not appreciate that negative energy. So I wish those were the few things I hadn't done. But now when I reflect upon them, I know I wouldn't do it in future.
Yeah.
And I'm making a mental note not to do it. There's one book I would like to recommend on your podcast that I recommended in a product podcast as well, which wasn't product related at all. It actually changed my life. And I read it. It was recommended to me by a friend. And not that I thought how would it work? And the title was very much different as well. It's Into the Magic Shop.
Okay.
By James R. Doty. He's a neurosurgeon. And I kid you not, I think apart from, starting building my own SageeAI, I think that would be my highlight of this year. That book changed my mindset. And that's why I would recommend people to read it. It taught me two very key things. Forgive people who did you wrong, but forget also. We forgive, but we don't forget. Forget and pray for them, because that's what is going to cut your energy off them and you will be able to move forward. The reason you're not moving forward is because you're still holding on to that energy and that grudge. Second, you're not going to be able to achieve anything if your mind and heart is not in alignment. If your heart wants one thing, which is the people who did me wrong deserve their karma, and your mind is working to building your dream, how are you meant to achieve something when both biggest organs of your body that's running your whole system are running in opposite direction? Manifestation is all about neuroplasticity. It's what you believe in your subconscious is what's going to happen, because your subconscious is going to work to make it a reality. But that will only happen when your heart believes it. That changed my life.
And I think that is a fantastic way to end the podcast. I love that. That's a brilliant statement and a brilliant recommendation for our listeners and our watchers. So thank you, Nayab, for coming in today. Appreciate your time, your openness and your honesty. If you want to watch, you can watch on YouTube, or alternatively, you can listen on Spotify to future podcast episodes and previous episodes. Give us a like and follow us, subscribe if you can, and give us some feedback about what you liked and what you didn't like. What can we improve? Thank you.